Hello class, welcome to week 9 of Windows Server Administration. So for this week we're actually covering configuring and managing network services. So what that really means is just like when you are working in a corporate environment, say it's like a startup company that has no actual network setup. Um, your job as a network administrator would be to not only set up the network equipment, which is, I guess, the physical configuring of networking equipment, so like plugging in the wires into switches, the Cat 6 wires or network cables into the switches, setting up the computers, connecting them to Ethernet, doing all that stuff. So that's the physical configuration of a network services. And then there's the actual computer configuration, like OS configuration, specific device configurations, and that's what they're talking about here. So configuring and managing network services. So a network service might be like Active Directory, print server, all of that stuff. That's what they mean. So for lab 11, the services we're going to do is we're going to configure server domain infrastructure. So we know what a server is, we know what a domain is, and we're just creating that infrastructure for our company. So for this lab, exercise 1, installing and configuring DNS forwarders. You guys know what DNS is, domain name service. It essentially translates a domain, like a website name, into its IP address. So like when you do google.com, it actually translates google.com, which is a DNS name, into the actual IP address of the web page of google.com. So as for DNS forwarders, you guys can read that section. So let's go to task 1. So create a new Active Directory forest. For step 1, we're going to ensure you have powered on the required devices, connected PLABS A01. So okay, we're not starting at the domain controller this time. We're going to start over here. So I'm going to turn this on. Once it turns on, it says it's going to go to Server Manager, the dashboard, same as this. And they want us to turn or open up PowerShell. So we will do that once it turns on, so I'll give it a second. And as soon as it turns on, I'm going to open up PowerShell, and it looks like they want us to type in this command. So I will go to Tools, go to PowerShell, go to Menu, Clipboard, Control V, send twice, right click, enter. Okay, so what this command is doing is it's going to install DNS and AD domain services, and obviously it's installing right here. So step 3, wait for the installation of new features. Step 4, Windows PowerShell will confirm the successful installation of the new features. Okay, so we're going to get a prompt that says what we did was accepted. On the next prompt, you will configure PLABS A01 as a domain controller. So this, what was a server, is now going to be a new domain controller for our new domain forest, which is going to be called practiceit.co.uk. And to do that, we're just going to enter in this command. Once it's done, it's done. It says exit code success. No need to restart. So I'm just going to go back to my clipboard, Control V, press send twice, right click, press enter. Okay, so now it's prompting me for a password. So the password is going to be password, as we see it on the left hand side, so with a 0 instead of an O. Press enter, confirm. So I'm assuming they want me to do it again. Okay, so that's step 6. They want me to do A, enter. Please wait while PLABS A01 is configured as the domain controller for the forest root domain called practiceit.co.uk. This process will take a few minutes to finish. Okay, so step 8, when the installation of the new domain controller has successfully been completed, you'll be asked to restart the computer. Okay, so it's doing its thing. We can see it up here. Once it's done, it's going to give me that little window that says restart, which I will, when it comes up, I'm going to just press close, and then it says this virtual machine will close automatically. So reconnect to PLabs AO1 after 2 minutes to give the computer enough time to complete its restart. Okay, so it's not going to restart, it's just going to shut off once it gives me that prompt, and then I have to wait, I guess, 2 minutes. So once it does that, actually for right now, I'll just kind of cut the video here, and then I will bring it back once I restart the machine. So just don't touch anything until you get that prompt that you're about to be signed out, but I'll see you guys when it's done. Okay, I'm back. It did take a while. It took about 7 minutes for... Well, I gave it 2 minutes once I got the prompt that said you are about to be signed out. So I gave it 2 minutes because it told me right here, reconnect. Reconnect after 2 minutes to give the computer enough time to complete its restart. So once I did the prompt, the computer turned off. I gave it about 2 minutes, and then I pressed restart, or I did refresh actually. And then when I did refresh, it took about 4 minutes for the group policy changes to be made. So I was just kind of sitting there, but now it finally came back up. So now I'm on task 2, because we finished task 1. So task 2 is connect to PLabs AO1, which is what we're currently at. So from the server dashboard window, we want to go to Tools. We want to go to Active Directory Users and Computers, which is towards the top. And then we go to step 2, expand the practiceIT.co.uk domain on the left-hand pane. Click on Domain Controllers. Notice that PLabs AO1 is now configured as a domain controller. Okay, so what we did was good. It took effect. They want us to close this window. So for step 3, they want us to launch DNS as you did earlier via the Server Manager Dashboard Tools menu. So we'll go to DNS. So in the DNS Manager window, click and expand the PLabs AO1. Okay, click Forward Lookup Zones and select practiceIT.co.uk. So select that. The resource records are displayed in the details pane on the right. Okay. Minimize the DNS Manager window. Oh, minimize. Okay, we'll get it back up. So, alright. So, we'll minimize this. Alright, task 3. Set up alternate DNS server. So, connect to PLab DC01, which is the virtual machine that gets powered on by default. Click the Windows Start charm and start typing Control Panel. So I'll go to Control Panel. Click Network and Internet. So Network and Internet would be here. Click Network and Sharing Center. From the Network and Sharing Center window, click the Ethernet link. On the Ethernet status dialog box, click on the Properties. Okay. On the Ethernet Properties dialog box, enable IPv4 checkbox, which is already enabled. Click on it. Click Properties, and they want us to enter in a specific alternate DNS server. So we'll do 192.168.0.4. Now we'll do OK, do close. They want us to close this window and close this window as well. Okay, so it's task 4, configure DNS forwarders, which was the whole point of this exercise 1. So step 1, connect to PLabs AO1, so we're going to go back here. Launch DNS as you did earlier via the Server Manager dashboard. I already did, so I have it here. Expand plabs A01 from the server pane. Select and right-click Conditional Forwarders. Select New. So select, right-click, New Conditional Forwarder. So here they want us to type in practicelabs.com, my period, labs.com, okay. Under the IP addresses of the master servers section, click on IP address, column of the text box, and type the following: 192.168.0.1. Press enter. Okay, attempting to resolve. You may get an error indicating that this name cannot be resolved to its host name. This is the result of delays in name resolution. In a few moments you will be able to see that the IP address has been resolved to plabdc01, which it has. Select the store this conditional forwarder in Active Directory and replicate it as follows checkbox. Under the checkbox, select all DNS servers in this domain. From the drop-down list, click OK. So do OK. So step 4, back in the DNS Manager window, which is here. Notice that the conditional forwarder has been successfully added right here. Right-click the Start button and select Windows PowerShell. They don't specify the admin one, so I'm just going to do regular. So step 6, to verify if plabs A01 can resolve names in the practicelabs.com external domain, type the following command. Okay, so I can type this one, it's not too crazy. plabdc01.practicelabs.com. Okay, so it's just pinging plabsdc01. We get 4 standard ping replies. Close the command prompt window, keep DNS Manager window open. So step 7, in this step you will set up a conditional forwarder for the domain practicelabs.com using the plabdc01 server. So we're going to go back on plabdc01 over here, as previously illustrated. Okay, so same thing, we're going to go to Tools, we're going to go to DNS, Conditional Forwarders, right click it, New Conditional Forwarder, and here we're going to call this practiceIT.co.uk, which is actually plabs A01. Here we're going to do 192.168.0.4. Actually, no, DNS domain. Well, I think that's the domain that this sits on, because this is the domain controller of this domain. Yeah. So it's going to attempt to resolve. To give it a second, it should resolve to plabs A01, because plabs A01 is the domain controller of this domain, the domain we created at the very beginning of this lab. So step 9, yes, we're going to check this box off, and we're going to do the second one, all DNS servers in this domain. We're going to do OK, and now we have this, which is great. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do the PowerShell, just to see that the pings are working. So we're going to do ping plabs a01.practiceIT.co.uk, and press enter. We get ping replies from it, which is good. And now they just want us to screenshot this. Great. And that is that page. There's a couple pages, one more page than usual. So for exercise 2, we're going to do managing DNS route hints in delegated zones. So step 1, connect to plabdc01. So that's where we're currently sitting at. I'm going to close this, and I'll close this too. So ensure DNS manager. Ensure DNS Manager window is open. Okay, so don't close your DNS Manager window. It's fine if you did. Right-click plabdc01 and select Properties. So here, select the Forwarders tab, and then on the Forwarders tab, click the Edit button, And here we're going to enter in a IP address of 192.168.0.4. Just enter. Attempting to resolve. I believe this is the IP address of plabs A01. DNS will attempt to resolve the IP address you typed. However, you don't need to wait for the IP address to be resolved. Click OK. Okay, great. Step 5, back in the plab DC01 properties window, which is this, we're going to click OK. Okay. Keep the DNS Manager window open for the next task. So that's task 1, very simple. Task 2, we're going to create a new DNS zone. So step 1, connect to the plab DMO1 server. So that is this machine, this machine. So we haven't turned this one on yet, so we'll power it on. We'll give it a second for it to turn on. And once Server Manager dashboard shows up, all we have to do is open up PowerShell, and it looks like we're going to just enter in this command in PowerShell for this second machine. So once it turns on, it did. I'm just going to click on it. Great. So I'm not going to type this, I am going to paste it in. So I'm going to Control V, press send twice. Actually, before I press send twice, I should open up PowerShell. So now I can do this again. Press send twice, right click. Okay. So it's doing its thing. It's installing the DNS server. So step 2, please wait while the DNS server is installed. The process will take less than a minute. As before, you will get a confirmation when the installation has been successfully completed. Then, once it's done, close the window, but don't do it before it's done. So I'm just going to wait for it to finish and give me a confirmation, which it just did. Now I can close the window. So for step 3, click the Server Manager icon on the taskbar. Server Manager icon on the taskbar. This? Click on Tools, Menu, DNS. In the DNS Manager window, expand the plab DMO1 server. Select the forward lookup zones, and then right-click forward lookup zones and select New Zone. Okay, so we're going to press Next. Here we're going to do verify that primary zone is selected. Okay, it is. Click Next. So here we're going to enter in the zone name. So they give us the name they want us to use. We'll just type this in. We'll do Next. So for this one, for here, a zone has been automatically created for the zone. Press Next. A zone file page has been created. So we'll press Next here. So step 8, on the dynamic update page, select the allow both non-secure and secure dynamic updates, which is the second option, and then we'll press Next. So now we're just going to press Finish, and it's created for us because there was nothing here before. So now for step 10, the zone apac.practicelabs.com is now available. Keep the DNS Manager window open. So that's it for task 2. Task 3, configure DNS delegation. So they want us to go back to the plab DC01 virtual machine. They say ensure DNS Manager windows open. I had left it open from before. Expand forward lookup zones. Okay. So on Practice Labs. Forward lookup zones, practicelabs.com. Okay, here. Right click Practice Labs. Ooh, let's go back. Right click Practice Labs and select New Delegation. Okay. So press Next. So for here we're going to do APAC. And we'll do, the fully qualified name has been updated down here. Do Next. So on the name servers page, click Add. We'll do Add. Okay. So server fully qualified domain name plabdm01.practicelabs.com. Click Resolve. and we'll give it a second. Okay, it does give us the IP address. What do they want us to do? Notice that plabs has been translated to the IP address with OK status. This is the effect of installing DNS and configuring a separate zone for apac.practicelabs.com. Click OK. Alright, so step 7 on the name servers page, the server FQDN and IP address are listed. Good. Click next. And we can click finish here. Okay. So step 9, return to the DNS manager window under the practicelabs.com zone, click APAC. So practicelabs.com zone, APAC here. Okay. The delegated zone called APAC practicelabs.com is now available and is delegated to the name server called plab dmo1.practicelabs.com, which is right here. Keep the DNS manager window open. So they do want us to take a screenshot of this. Okay, so that's it for that. So the final exercise, which is exercise 3, configuring DNS policies. So they want us to start at plab dco1, which is where we're currently sitting at. DNS manager window is open. They want us to right click forward lookup zones and then select new zone. So do new zone. They want us to click next here and then verify that primary zone is selected. Click next. Here they want us to make sure that we clear the zone, store the zone in Active Directory checkbox. So or did I get ahead of myself? Clear the zone, clear the first one? Wait. Oh no, it's this one. Store the zone in active. Oh, it's the spot. Oh, they wanted us to unclick this. Okay, my fault. So make sure it's primary zone and then uncheck this box and then move on. So for here, yeah, okay. So it changes the next window that you get. So for here, we're going to do for zone name PL test, it's all uppercase, .com, and then click next. And then here we're going to do on the zone file page, the zone file called pltest.com.dns has been automatically created. Click next. And then here on the dynamic update page, ensure that the do not allow dynamic updates option is selected. It is. Click next. Now do finish. So step 7, the new zone, standard zone called pltest.com is displayed. pltest.com right here. Right click on the pltest.com zone and select new host. So new host A or AAAA. So we'll click on that. Does it, okay. Doesn't allow us to do that. Right click on PL. We might want to give it a second then. So we'll refresh this. Oh, no, I got it. Okay. Oh, it's not in there. You have to do it here. So in the new host window, in the name text box, type in the following, www, and then the IP address 192.168.0.1, and then they don't want us to click this checkbox, just do add host. Successfully created, great. So click OK, click done. Minimize the DNS manager window. And then for task 2, download a PS script file. So in this task, we'll download a text file document that contains a number of Windows PowerShell commands. So connect to plab dco1, which is where we're currently at, launch File Explorer, and click on Documents. Okay, so there's one document here. Double click on the DNS CMD lits. Okay, so you will copy each CMD from the notepad into the Windows PowerShell window to avoid too much typing in the lab. Keep the window open as you will need this later. Okay, so leave it open for now. Okay, so task 3, create DNS policies. Okay, so yeah, task 3. I was just making sure that we didn't have to manually do this. I think we're just going to use this later, so keep it open. So task 3, create DNS policies. So step 1, ensure you are connected to PLAB DC01. I am. The dashboard's open. So go to PowerShell. So now they want us to open up PowerShell. So I can open up PowerShell from here. Great. To import the DNS server module, type the following command. Alright, so I could just type this. So import dash module DNS server center. Okay. So after importing the DNS module for PowerShell, you will copy paste CMDlets from the notepad. Restore the CMDlet window. Press Control A. Alright. So Control A. Select Edit Copy. I could just do Control C. It's fine. Restore the PowerShell window. Just right click, and it's going to paste everything. So it's kind of the same concept of how we copied and pasted from here, put it into clipboard, and right clicked into PowerShell. It's the same concept. Just press Enter. Oh, whoops. Press Enter. And we'll give it a second because I think it's executing all of them at once. Okay. This will streamline the process of configuring DNS policies in the lab. To add, I believe it executed. Yeah. Okay. I would say we're okay. So to add a DNS Server Subnet, type the following command. I'm just going to copy and paste this. A client subnet with an existing DNS server. These are all the stuff that we took from the notepad, so we don't have to enter this in again. They're just showing us that please refer to the DMs as this text document lists all the PowerShell that you will enter in this. Yeah, so these are all the things from the notepad, so we don't have to enter it in again. And the fact that it gave me this error message means that it was already created. So I don't have to worry about any of these commands. So I could just minimize PowerShell because all of that was done for me in a lot easier manner. So that's good. So step 3, to test the DNS policies that you have just configured, you will verify the DNS from one of the Windows clients in the subnet. This is the network subnet where most of the lab devices are located. So connect to plab win 10. So this final user machine, connect to that. We're going to start Windows. So start charm and types. Okay, so once it turns on, we'll get to the Windows button. We'll type CMD, which is just going to open up a command prompt window for us. Alright, so type CMD, and they want us to type IP config /flush DNS. Okay, successfully flushed the DNS resolver cache. Now they want us to do NS lookup, www.pltest.com. Okay. So notice that the IP address was returned when the NS lookup was run to discover practicelabs.com IP address. Please note that devices in this lab are connected to the same network, and you will not be able to use a multi-subnet scenario to test DNS policies. Keep the command prompt window open. So now they want us to go back to, and I can tell from the first command, so that the first command is going to give us a timed out, and I could see it if you enlarge this photo, you can see it as well. The second two gives us .01, and this third one, well, second one's the unknown, the third one's the pltest.com. So we got the output that they wanted. So for step 6, they want us to go back to plabdc01, restore the PowerShell window. So I closed my PowerShell window, which is fine. Just open up a new one. And they want us to enter in this command. So I'll just put that in my clipboard, send it twice, send it one more time. Okay. So this created a new policy that's going to block access to query any record in the zone pltest.com. So notice that the block list has been successfully created. Great. So connect to plab win10 again. So that user machine, we're just going to bring it back up. So we're going to type in ipconfig/flush DNS. Okay, it's been flushed again. Now we're going to do NSLOOKUP. And we're going to do www.pltest.com. So, oh, I spelled it wrong. NSLOOKUP pltest.com. Okay. So notice that the pltest NSLOOKUP couldn't be resolved because of the DNS query policy. So notice, yeah, it blocked it, which is what we wanted. So for step 10, I'm going to go back to plabdc01. If time permits, you can remove the query by typing the following command. Alright. We'll do it again. Alright. So, and then press Y, press enter. So now we removed this block that we originally created. And now they want us to take a screenshot of that. Great. And that is it. It was a long lab. Alright, so this final page, step 6, is the questions. So you only have 3, 4, 5. So you only have 5 questions because 3 pages, page 3, 4, and 5 of this lab were screenshots. So it does help you there. And these questions look like multiple answer questions, so you can click more than one box to answer the question. So do click on that. It looks like this output looks like it comes from the lab, so I would go back and look for this command just to see what it does, because they do give you descriptions on what the command does. So I would go back in the lab, go back to the previous pages and look for this command, like take a screenshot of it, go back to the previous pages just to see, like you could find the answer from there. Number 5, which of the following file contains the root DNS mapping? That will likely be in your reading, so I would look for that. Question 6, your organization spans multiple geographic... Okay, so this is a scenario question. Which of the two components of the domain name system? What are two components of the domain name system? So that also looks like it's coming from the reading, not necessarily the lab. And then question 8, what are some of the key factors of DNS policies that define how DNS was... Okay, so question 8 and 7, 5 come from the reading, 4 comes from the lab, and 6 is a scenario question. So that's how I would approach it. In answering these questions, you guys could also, reference as many, use as many references as possible to answer these questions. There's no rush, there's no time gate for this. Take your time when you're answering these questions, because, you do the lab. The lab is great for practice, like hands-on practice, so that you become a little bit more familiar with Windows Server, like actual hands-on. And then these questions are just testing your knowledge of the different functions in Windows Server. So while the questions are important, the hands-on is, in my opinion, more valuable. But you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot by guessing on these questions and then getting them wrong, because then it lowers your score for the lab, and You don't want that. So take your time, use as many, um, I guess, references as possible to answer these questions, whether it's from the book or like the lab or what other reference you find that can help you. I know Microsoft has their own documentation pages that answer specific questions such as this, so I would say use that as well. That's available online, like the Microsoft documentation pages. Just type that and you'll find it. So that's also helpful. So yeah, that is Lab 11 of week 9. So next week we're not going to have a lab because next week is test week. So for test 2, um, test 2 is going to follow a similar format to test 1 as far as just being a lot of multiple choice questions, true and false, multiple answer questions. So please do the readings because the readings, there won't be any practical hands-on labs for the test. It's just going to be those questions. So the reading is going to be what's going to help you do well in the exam. So go back to chapter, from what I can tell, read chapter 5 again, 6, 7, 8. So that's 4 chapters that you have to read through that are going to be on the test. 5, 6, 7, and 8. So please read through those chapters. Read them once, read them twice. You have until, today's what, Tuesday? You have, I'm a, I'll make a post on Blackboard towards the end of the week as to when the test will be. It'll be the same way I did test 1 as far as giving you guys 3 days during the week to complete the test. 3 days that the test will be available on Blackboard, but once you start the test, um, you only get one try. So once you start it, once you press the start button, the timer's gonna go. I'll tell you guys how much time you have for the test. I'll tell you the exact amount of questions that'll be on the test, and that'll be in a Blackboard announcement later this week. But just do the readings. That's really gonna be the best way to do well in the test. So yeah, that's it. So look out for that Blackboard announcement. It will be coming towards the end of this week. Um, and and do your homework for this week. And obviously this video helps for that, but just try to go through the lab. Take your time with these questions, please, because I feel like sometimes you guys rush through them, and I don't want you guys to hurt your grades. So yeah, next week the test. The following week we'll continue with the regular schedule of homeworks and readings. And I will see you guys 2 weeks from now. Alright, see you guys then.